a very warm greeting from Memo Pandits and Manupatra here today to all the attendees present. Today, we have all gathered here to discuss about the topic, which is legal research, a definitive guide for law students. I am Palak Agarwal, and I work here at Memo Pandits in the capacity of content writer and event manager. Before we delve into how learned our speaker here today is, allow me to apprise you all about Manupatra. Starting with a two-member team in the year 2000, Manupatra has been at the helm of success. Manupatra is used by academia, corporate, government, professionals, lawyers, CA, CS, banks, consulting, litigants, NGOs, and others. The comprehensive database with search capabilities have set industry benchmarks and made Manupatra the preferred solution partner for decision support information. The legal analytics platform crunches case data by presenting new insights into the deposition of judges, lawyers, and courts. It then visually presents these findings as a blueprint of trends and patterns of how judges and advocates have acted in similar cases in the past, enabling a hypothesis of how they will act in the future. Today, the team of 150 plus working seamlessly to aggregate, collate, structure, and deliver updated information on a daily basis. In 19 sale offices across India, Manupatra is always available for its subscribers on the ground. I would today warmly welcome Miss Saumya Snehal ma'am to our webinar. Miss Saumya Snehal ma'am, who is a 2020 graduate from CNLU with BBA LLB honors, is working with Manupatra as their marketing and communications coordinator since July 2020. She has hosted webinars on GDPR, legal design, workshop, and bootcamp, advanced legal research on Manupatra, legal research for Moot, and other training sessions with various colleges. She has also previously worked with a number of legal startups during her undergraduate course and has written over 200 blogs and other research-related content. The format of the webinar today would be that Saumya Snehal ma'am, I'm really sorry for confusing your name. Miss Saumya ma'am would proceed with a very detailed PPT that she has prepared, and then at the end of the webinar, we will be opening the floor for questions. So I would request all the attendees to kindly jot down their questions and shoot them at the end of the webinar. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Pala, for this kind introduction. Welcome, everybody. So thank you so much for joining in. I have my colleague Abhay with me here. So we'll be opening the floor for questions at the end. But in the meanwhile, while I'm explaining something and you want to reiterate or you want to ask a question, please feel free to write it in the chat window and he'll be taking it. So again, thank you so much for joining in. Now we'll start with the presentation. Is my screen visible, Pala?
Not as of now, ma'am.
Ma'am, the PPT slide is showing right now.
Yeah, PPT slide is there.
Right, yeah, PPT slide is very much visible.
Thank you so much. So, okay, everyone, hi. Today's webinar is on legal research, a definite guide for law students. So we'll see now how this goes about. Again, throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat window. So starting with, there are three broad agendas, three takeaways from this session. One is that we want to communicate what are the basics of legal research, a simple primer on how do you begin research for different types of research, what is the first step you take, what are the roadblocks you have, everything on that regard. Second step is what is the process of legal research for Moots, scholarly papers, blogs, internships, all of that. So how different kind of research wants different kind of attention. Third is that I'll show you how do you use all these principles of legal research on Manupatra along with the features that we provide. So we are one of the very few legal tech platforms, in the whole world. And we provide you a lot of features that makes your research very, very simple. And, you never have to run the same query twice. So then at the end of it, I'll show you how to use Manupatra for efficient legal research. So now beginning with it. So these are the major topics that we are going to be covering. One is why is legal research and what is legal research and why is it important? Second is legal question. What is it? How do you identify it? What is the scope of legal question? Third is how should one begin legal research? Fourth, how do you identify the relevant statutes, case documents, or the authorities that you need to cite? Why you need to cite them and how they form, the entirety of legal research. Fifth is how can you use any legal research database to help you research better, and why is it important? Why Google cannot be your solution for legal research. The sixth is I'll show you some features on Manupatra, some icons, some common mistakes that are there that can improve your legal research game completely. So starting with it, first of all, what is legal research? Again, legal research, when you think of it, especially as students, your research comes into, broad categories of one, doing your academic projects. Other than that, if you need to research on, suppose a topic is going on in class and sufficient cases haven't been discussed and you need to, read on it for your exams or for your own studies. That is another place of legal research that you do. Moots, again, extensive legal research happens there. Fourthly and most important, I think when we are studying legal research, we don't really take it into account, is when you go for internships, any kind of internship. Again, legal research is a skill that you need to have. So essentially, it's the process of finding an answer. You've been given a proposition, you've been given a legal question. You're supposed to find an answer to it in the form of supporting statutes, documents, judgments, all of that. Research on these precise legal questions or any kind of conflicts and the resolutions, the solutions that you come up with absolutely end up shaping the development of law. How are new statutes built? There are legal teams working there. There are interns even working there that work on the background research, the drafting, everything of new laws. So again, it's multifaceted and the bread and butter of any person who chooses to do law. Next, first question is, how do you identify a legal question? How do you define the scope of it? So we are going to take an example. Suppose you're going to write a research paper. And the first thing that you need to decide is what my topic is going to be. Because even if you're looking to publish, most places would give you, as their theme for their journal or their blog as, contemporary legal topics. Even if it's a dedicated blog, it's corporate law, it's arbitration. So the scope is very wide. How do you decide on what you're going to write? First is you take the problem solution approach. You identify a problem and you propose a solution to it. Suppose Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code from its enactment in 2016.
Saumya, hi, this is Anant. I'm so sorry for interrupting. A few of the students are saying in the chat box that your voice is breaking a bit. Could you check if your audio and if your Wi-Fi are working correctly?
Yeah, sure. I'll just do that.
Sure. And also at my end, your video is not visible. The presentation is visible. So if you could check that.
No, I've just switched off the video, so that this voice issue does not happen. More internet is working fine. So that's okay.
Got it.
Okay, thank you so much. Is my voice fine now?
Yes, it's slightly better. I think it's more understandable now. You can continue. So sorry for the interruption.
No, it's absolutely fine. Thank you. Okay, I'll just resume from right there. Okay, so the first approach, again, it's a problem solution approach. As I was discussing. So the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code came in 2016. And I remember for the first 2-3 years, there was one book that everyone referred to. the courts, the law firms, all of that. And there were a lot of issues that were coming up as they do with any new law. That's the problem solution approach. You identify the problem, you identify where there's ambiguity in the law, and you address it. You highlight it. You bring, if there have been previous cases on similar issues, how they have been dealt with. If there has been a precedent which has been a defining law, should that be incorporated in the form of an amendment? So that's your problem solution approach. The second is an interpretation approach. Interpretation approach would be the law, suppose Indian Contract Act. You pick up 5 sections that, for together are cohesive. You write an interpretation of them. You cite major judgments. What you're doing is you're not providing a solution towards the development of law, but for any other researcher, you're providing an explanation. Again, like your research becomes quality and publish worthy. Third is policy critique approach. Now, law and policy go hand in hand. And it's something that every law student needs to understand and ingrain. Because a lot of times we just focus on the law and we don't, put in perspective what are the social conundrums related to it. Similarly, when there's a policy issue and a law student is writing on it or a lawyer is writing on it, and all you're focusing is on the social conundrums. So, it has to be a balance there. If there is a policy, it has to be critiqued in a manner which balances both law and sociology. I'll discuss on this more going forward. Now, to cite an example here, the CA and RC law. There were protests all over India. Rightfully, not rightfully is a different discussion. But another discussion that came up was the Shaheen Bagh protests. But people were in support of it. There was a lot of hue and cry about, blockage of roads and how people had to, take a completely different route. The kind of this action that was taken. Now, all this comes under policy. As a lawyer, you can write what are the rights of protest, as well as what are the rights of the citizens for, safe travel, free access, all of that. Now, this becomes a policy critique approach. It does not have to be that suppose government came up with a policy and you're writing about it. Everything where you balance sociology and law becomes a policy critique. The last is analysis research approach. Now, how I would like to find is there aren't always legal solutions to everything. There can be legal and non-legal solutions to it. There has been a lot of recent hue and cry about live-in relationships being immoral, illegal, as said by one of the prominent high courts. But what is the law on it? There is sufficient law, but it's in the form of precedents. Do we need a legislation on the matter, given where the society is going, so that these labels of immoral aren't pasted and people are not denied of their rights? Now, this can be an analysis legal approach, research approach. There isn't an existing law, but you recognize a place where there is need for legislation. You research on it, you write about it. You write what are the precedents available. You write if this has been discussed in India or internationally, and then you form your research. All these 4 approaches, if you have in your mind, you'll always have something or the other to research about. Even when you're given a broad topic, you can divide it or place it to these baskets and then start your research. So I hope this was helpful. And again, for any section, any part, if you have any questions, please write it in the chat window or in the Q&A section and we'll take it towards the end. So moving on, where do you start with your legal research? Choose the right topic. As I just explained, these are approaches that you can take. The next thing is always ignore the obvious. Since I think we are just law students here, it's safe to say that when you are performing a research, academic project, publication, moot, whatever be, your ultimate objective is that it should enrich you in your knowledge and enrich you on your CV. Again, very important, both of them. How do you make sure it does that? You make sure that even if you're doing a moot research, later on you can use it to write a research paper. If you're doing an internship research, you can write an article with a senior partner there. That way. How do you do that? How do you make any research publish worthy? ignore the obvious. Do not write about, something which is very straightforward or which is too common, which every other law student would. Wherever you send that paper for publication or even in your own research, everything that you're writing has already been written. The originality value is very less, and simultaneously that decreases your, how publish worthy your research piece is. Always choose the right topic and ignore the obvious. Second is look for ambiguity in the facts. Whenever you're looking at a proposition, now this is when you're researching for moots or when you're researching for internships, okay? In these two situations, you'll be given a set of ambiguous facts, okay? And your first instinct would be to start as broad as possible, which is fair. I'll show you how you can start super broad in Manupatra and you can just come to the proposition that you are looking for. But if you've been given a situation, always look for where there are ambiguity in the facts. Start your research there. Address that point, make it part of your original final research. Third is find where opinions disagree. Okay, so I'll explain this one in an international context. There's this heartbeat bill in the US, which is right now applicable in just one state, but it has been previously applied in other states too. Essentially, if up to 6 weeks you don't get an abortion, and if the fetus has a heartbeat, you cannot abort. Now, this again, there are difference of opinions. The conservatives are very much in favor of it. The liberals are not, because up to 6 weeks, most women don't even know they're pregnant. Not just this, what they've done is they have found a funeral crew for the discarded fetus. Now, all this, while it is strong policy issues, it's also something where a lot of opinions disagree. As a researcher, you have to take all the opinions in regard. So again, a very important part of research, once you've chosen your topic, once you've gone through the ambiguity, the third step is when you're researching and you find alternative perspectives, incorporate them in your research. Do not leave them out. The fourth is always think about what you don't understand. When you're researching, there are going to be provisions that you don't completely understand. There are going to be judgments, bits of it that you don't completely understand. Lawyers and judges are notorious for their word salads that we make.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. But people in the chat box are saying that your voice is continuously breaking. It could be great if you could try some other source of internet, for example, mobile data or the
Yeah, I'll
sort.
just check. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Hey Palak, I'm so sorry for that, break. Is my voice fine now? 1 and 2, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible and your voice is also clearer now. So you can continue. Sorry for interrupting you, ma'am.
No, that's completely fine. I'll just start.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's much better.
Okay, so thank you so much. Abhay sir, if it happens again, could you just prompt me there only? No, a little bit.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Saumya ma'am, are you on mute?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible now.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so again, think about what you don't understand and make sure that you incorporate that in your research, because again, something that you don't understand, your fellow researchers also can't. And if you make sure to, solve that point, add additional research on it, that would help improve the quality of your research and be helpful to you, make any research that you do more publish worthy. So moving on, what are the pre-research questions that you need to determine? So someone in the chat window had asked before we had started this webinar that how do you write a research paper, or how do you perform research when you have very limited time? So these are the pre-research questions that will help you write any legal research, help you go through any legal research in a limited amount of time if you make sure that you have these questions answered. First is, what are the limitations and scope of your research? If I'm writing on any topic, I have to define the boundaries. I have to define that if I'm only focusing on my country. I have to define that, okay, if I'm taking an international perspective, which other countries am I looking at? Because it can't be everything and anything. Then again, you can make a decision on time period. If you're looking at judgments or cases from when to when. If you incorporate that in your research, that, okay, from this year to this year are the parts that I have discussed, it makes it, very, very helpful to you in that regard of even improving, the quality of your research. Plus, whoever is reviewing your research would know key, this person is clear on what they have done. Again, this does not apply to internship research or Moot research. This is more in the form of when you're doing an academic project, a research paper, or a book. Second is, again, define your relevant authorities, what you're going to look at, stick to it, and make these decisions first of all. Third is preliminary research. Where do you start your research from? So again, in some time, I'm going to show you how you never start from Google, being a law student, because what you're essentially getting is blogs with the best SEO, which might not have the best information or the most correct one. So that is, one of the first decisions to make, that, okay, if I'm writing on something related to women, I'll start with gender justice. This is my broad, umbrella from where I start, and then I'll filter it down to the research that I'm looking on. Fourth is, are you making it multidisciplinary? Are you including things like, criminology researchers? Or are you including data done by sociologists? All these are decisions that need to be made, which make your research paper multidisciplinary. Again, improve the quality of research, but if you're on a limited clock, they can hamper your timeline very easily. Okay. The next is, what are the key ideas here? Again, if you take different approaches, these are the ones that you can take: law, criminology, philosophy, and sociology. Always use a statements, facts, research approach. These are the statements that you want to make through your research. These are the facts in hand. Facts can also be statistics, data, existing law, all of that. Research is equal parts of what your analysis is of the current scenario, of the current, judgments, documents, any other research available. And the next is, what actually those sources are, citing them properly, making sure that you have, done appropriate footnoting and things like that. The last is there is an importance of time period and jurisdiction. Time period in the sense that I'll decide I'll only take cases about my current topic after 2010. Jurisdiction wise, I'll decide that I'll only focus on India. I won't look at any international perspectives. Now, these are the key ideas that, you have to begin with when you're starting research. Next is to take into account, what kind of research you're doing. Throughout the discussion right now, I have focused on whether it's a research paper, whether it's a blog, whether it's an article, whether there are academic projects. In that, you have to take a completely different approach. Moot research, again, Memo Pandits does a lot of, they have courses on it. They constantly publish on it. They share information on it. So Moot research has to be a completely different tangent. Then you're interning, whether it's an internship research, litigation research. It again, narrows down your window of research a lot. That has to be very, very precise. A simple difference between Moot and internship. Moot, you go crazy and ham on the authorities that you can cite. Internship, you have to be very, very sure that if you are citing two judgments on your proposition, the facts are absolutely the same. Precedence, hierarchy of courts, all that has to be taken into account. Again, before you start a research, you have to make sure which bucket your research falls on and be very conscious when you're approaching the research. Next, why do we have this segregation? The first one is how comprehensive can the research be? Research paper, academic projects, you can go shebang on it. You can do as much research as possible. The more sources you cite, the better. It improves the quality of your research. Again, you have to make it coherent, but you have a better window. Moot research, a little less, because you focus more on just judgments, less on scholarly papers, dictionaries. Anyone who has done Moot or is looking to do Moot would know this. Third is the ratio of research to opinion. So there's this saying that, if it's a good memorial, you would have a footnote on every second sentence because you have made sure you've cited those many authorities. One. Second is that you've given, you've linked every authority you've cited to the factual matrix. In research projects, your ratio to research opinion is huge. In internship kind of research, your ratio to research to opinion is almost negligible there. So that is why the segregation is important. Fourth is review, format, and footnoting. Now, format and footnoting, you'll get, I'm talking aspects of Moot research. As well as when you're writing research papers, kind of citation followed, subtitles, paragraph breaks, all of that. Internship research does not really have that. There, the format is drafting, following. That's a completely different ballgame altogether. How you review these research. Have you made sure, your footnoting is uniform? Different kind of footnoting used. So all of these are the major criteria why you need to segregate the kind of research you're approaching. Next, now we'll move on to the more interesting fun bit, which is how do you identify relevant statutes, cases, documents? How do you use databases to research better? And lastly, how do you, use icons, features, and what are the common mistakes that are there that you need to avoid? I'll just share my screen once again. Abhay sir, the Manupatra screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Thank you so much. So this is how the Manupatra screen looks like. I'll just log in quickly here. So this is how it looks like. First of all, when you're doing any kind of research, you always have to know what is the extent of data covered by any legal research data. Now, a lot of databases that have come recently do not have that much of, older judgments available. If you're searching on that and you miss judgments, your research is incomplete in a way. However, on Manupatra, we have Supreme Court judgments, right from 1950, high courts, tribunals, commissions, bare acts, all of that. So I'll come back to what features we have using these. First of all, I'll start with how do you initiate your research. Now, I want to write on why live-in relationship is, like, declaring it immoral is a violation of rights for both men and women. Okay. What I'll do is I'll start with the most broad term that I can think of. Here, I'll use gender justice because, again, it has to be gender neutral in a way. I'll just type gender justice here. I'll run the search. Now I used Manu search. Manu search is the Google, equivalent of legal research. When you, again, as I said, if you have a topic and you directly go and type it in Google, what you're getting is blogs which have the best SEO. And again, legal industry as an industry, we've become very rich. We are very tech savvy. So, every portal makes sure that their blogs are, SEO optimized and all of that, which does not really help you with your research. This is how you go about it. Again, I ran the search for gender justice. There's Vishaka, obviously the most prominent case in that regard. And, other cases. Now I have to search for live-in relationships. What I'll do is I'll select this. This is refine your search. What refine your search essentially does is you can search within your search results. So I selected this, search and results. I'll write live-in relationship here. Again, you can write a query here. You can paste exactly what you're thinking about, and the algorithms on the back end would give you, the relevant judgments on that regard. Now, again, I have Navdeep Singh Johar here, Joseph Chine here. Again, judgments where live-in relationships of both genders were discussed. Again, my idea was to have gender justice because this is a gender neutral topic, as well as relationships. So all these results have come. Now there are around 724 results. How do I filter through them? I'm sure that I don't want to cite from every high court. I want to just look in the first go. I want to look at the judgments from the Supreme Court. From the filters here, you can see there are multiple filters provided. You can, decide from quote, keyword, subject, judge, period, all of that. You select, what you're looking for, the filter that you're looking for. Here, I want to focus on just the Supreme Court of India judgment. I'll select it. Now it would only give me, the results would only give me the judgments from the Supreme Court of India. This is simply how it works. In two filters, I can get just the Supreme Court judgments which talk about gender justice and live-in relationships. Again, I can go through them. I can see now cited in Manupatra. This shows how many times this judgment has been cited on Manupatra, essentially showing you how important this judgment is. If it has been cited multiple times, it has to be, a judgment which is fairly important in that. Here, I'll show you what other features with judgments we offer. So if you open a judgment, how can just from one judgment, which is relevant to your proposition, you can find multiple other judgments without having to run, a query twice or thrice or, even once more. I'll just open Navdeep Singh Johar here. Again, if I was doing like a proper research, I would refine my search more and come to exactly what I'm looking for. Here, I'm just showing this as an example. So I'll just show some of the features that we offer. First is important para. Now, this is one huge judgment. And if I had to read through it, I would have to, dedicate a sufficient amount of time. However, the alternative is that, every judgment in Manupatra is accompanied by a case note, which is meticulously prepared by our editorial team. So again, you have facts, you have, what the issues were there, how they were dealt with, all of that there, what cases were cited, what counsels were appearing, then there's the citing reference of, okay, these many cases were cited in this judgment, which were discussed, which were dissented, which were mentioned. Again, all of this is hyperlinked. I just click on it, I can see all the judgments there. So this is one way of, reading through the judgment and understanding if it matches your proposition. Others are, first is important para. Just click on it, it opens a new window. So on this window, I'll just show you how on one screen you can get a very comprehensive, research background. I'll just wait for it to load for 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll just move on to the other features. The next is cited in para. Now, what this feature shows you is, I apologize for my internet being a little slow right now. So first, we'll just discuss MPARA for 2 minutes. So what MPARA does is, one, it would give you a timeline. The judgment that you're already searching appears in the right-hand top window. Here, there's a list of all the judgments where this has been cited in the future, paragraph-wise. So now this paragraph has been cited in Indian Young Lawyers Association versus the state of Kerala multiple times. I'll just have to click on it, and this particular judgment would open in the second half of my screen. Now, what this does is essentially from one window, you can see everything about the judgment, whatever you're looking for. If you have to read where this judgment was cited, which if there's a paragraph that responds to your proposition, you can very easily just check it out here. This is the paragraph you're looking for. Now, what I want to read this judgment further. I get it. Okay, this is also relevant to my proposition. I just have to expand it and it would open in a new window. I do not have to run the same query twice, to find more and more judgments.
Saumya, I think
Yes,
the screen is frozen at important para. So if you can reshare your screen, I think that would help.
Yeah, sure. Is it better? Can you see?
I can see the important para wala tab is only opening.
Yes, sir. I was showing that window. Now you can see the judgment one.
No. Now I can see it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. If this happens again, you can share your screen, because you already know the flow that I'll go on. That's fine.
Right. Okay.
So MPARA again, I'm so sorry that I'll have to repeat it. If there's a particular paragraph of the main judgment that you're looking at that you feel is relevant and you want to see where else it has been cited, so all those authorities, all those cases also you can cite, like we do in Moot memorials or in research papers. You won't have to, run the same query again and again to see where it has been cited. All you need to do is, here's on the left hand side, there would be a list which is paragraph wise. This paragraph has been cited in this case multiple times. If I click on the case opens here. It's the second window. I can read, I can scroll it up and down and I can see how, in what context this paragraph has been discussed. If it resonates with my proposition, I can, use it in my research or I can skip it. So this is exactly what MPARA does. Second, cited in para was the next feature that I wanted to show. Now for this icon, this multicolor icon here, once I click on it, I see, all the cases where this has been cited in the future chronologically. So now this has been cited 50 times. I can sort it by chronological order, quotes, and so on. Again, everything is hyperlinked. It's a table. I click on the plus icon here. I can see which paragraph it is cited. If I want to see a judgment, I can click on it. I can very well see, the judgment right, from here itself. Moving on, there are thirdly, I would like to show this print replica feature, which essentially gives you the code copy of the judgment. Now, what that does is, there, even if you're using research for your internship or for your Moot memo, you need to make a compendium. There was this very famous India Kanun case where they had deleted a paragraph from the judgment. You never wanted to happen. But what it also did was it has created a suspicion both in the mind of the Moot judges as well as, our courts, that you have to cite the court copy. That is the one, print that does not raise suspicion at all. Legal research databases, they formatted, although on Manupatra we don't change the paragraph numbers, we don't change the line numbers, it's all in one scroll. But to even eliminate that, we provide you the direct code copy of the judgment. All you need to do is click on this print replica, Judas English, click on it, the code copy would appear, download it, use it, print it, howsoever you want. Now again, this is not the only way you can share documents on Manupatra. You can use the print in PDF option. You can print it, you can share it in PDF, you can do it in Word. You can mail the document directly from the Manupatra interface, no downloading, no attaching, nothing. You want to copy paste, some part of this judgment. There is no cap on the copy paste. You don't have to download the judgment to copy any part of it. Again, when you copy it in a Word doc or anywhere else, the citation of the judgment of the document is automatically pasted. Again, that is something that you don't have to do manually. All these features, they might seem very small in their own regard, but when you start using them, the amount of research time that you reduce, simple copy paste, I pasted it. If I had to, add a footnote, I would type the case name, I would type the citation, then I can use it, because you cannot directly just copy the case name as well. With Manupatra, as soon as you paste the date of judgment, the name of the judgment, the court, all of that appears directly. You don't have to waste time, writing. Again, sticky note, you want to add post-its in the judgment digitally. You want to highlight a section. All that very comfortably you can do on Manupatra itself. I'll just show you a few more research interfaces that we offer. First is, like, other than Manu Search, which is our Google alternative for legal research. Second kind of search would be legal search, which is, there are multiple interfaces for it. If you have a party name for the case that you're looking for, just type in the party name, any other information on the case you have, run the search, you'll get your judgment. If you want judgments which have like the case, if you have the case number for the judgment, use that. If you have this strength of the bench that you're looking for when you're looking for a case, you have another feature. If you're looking for judgments under a particular act or a particular statute, you can do that. So all this is here. Again, act search, if you want to search by an act, if you want to search by a rule, if you want to direct search, TST search, all of that is available here. Citation search would be a feature where you have the citation of a judgment and you want to do a direct search just from the citation. Manupatra covers over 375 Indian journals and around 45, more than 45 international journals. If you have any citation that you have read anywhere, there's a fair chance you would find it here. Assisted search would be your Boolean search. Again, very helpful for you. If I have to, search for homosexuality and live-in relationships, okay, I just have to type that any results that I get have to have all of these words. If there was an exact phrase I was looking for, if I had to exclude some words from my research, I could use it here. I'll just run the search and only the documents which have homosexuality and live-in relationships, all these words would come up directly here. Makes your research, makes you search for any proposition very simply, very effectively. Okay. This would be about how you go about a proposition search or a legal search. There are other features that I would just highlight as part of the PPT, and then we can, wrap it up. I hope you understood how to use this database better. Again, all this information is provided on, our YouTube channel in short, crisp 2-minute, 3-minute videos on all the features. And I hope that would be helpful for anyone who wants to check it out. Now, what are the common mistakes that law students make? One is that, citing a judgment which has been overruled or partially overruled. The other is checking if a bill is pending, act is notified or not, in citing a section which hasn't been. Third is not checking the future treatment of case. Fourth would be, jurisdiction or applicability mistakes that you make. So how do you avoid these common mistakes? I'll just run you through the features that Manupatra offers. First is that, how do you find if a judgment has been overruled? If a judgment has been overruled, there would be a red flag placed next to it when you run your search and the research in the results. If there's a red flag, you know that a judgment has been completely overruled. If there's a yellow flag, you will know that a judgment has been partly overruled. If there's a blue flag next to an act or a section, you would know that, they have been amended, or they have been, if there's an act, it has got the assent of the president, but it hasn't been enforced as of yet. Next is, again, as I showed you, M-para. So sorry for the internet issues there. I wish I could have shown you better. But what it does is it shows you key paragraphs of a judgment on the basis of number of times it has been referred to in other judgments. The next is cited in para, which shows you the paragraphs in which the current case has been cited in other judgments. Cited in Manupatra shows you a sorted list of all cases where it has been, not just cases, documents where the particular judgment has been referred. What this does is when you run one search query, you find one judgment, one document which is appropriate to it. You don't have to run the search query twice. From that one, you can find multiple other judgments of that regard. Next is authority check. Authority check, what it gives you is, it shows you how the subject case has been cited in future chronologically on a timeline. It would give you a tabular list as well on where this case has been cited. Now what this does, it gives you a visual appeal. It makes your research faster, better. Legal research get very monotonous. And after 2 hours, 3 hours, you want to pull your hair out. If you have visualization tools to assist you, that doesn't happen. That doesn't kick in, because everything that you want to understand, you don't just have to go by text. You can see it visually represented as well. Case map is, again, it's one of our better features. It's a very sought after feature from our clients. So if there's any case, you open the case map, you can see the treatment of the 20 most relevant case laws on it. You can see, whether it was affirmed, relied on, discussed, dissented, overruled. What were the cases cited in it, as well as where it was cited in the future. Citing reference, again, as I showed you, it gives you, the cases that have been cited in that judgment, whether they have been discussed, mentioned, what kind of treatment was accorded to it. If you're reading bare acts, there are 5, enhancements that we offer. One is the brief facts. Now, what brief facts covers is the objective of the case, the objective of the act, the preamble, if there has been any subsequent amendment to the act, like as if there have been any amending acts. If there have been, they'll be listed there, they'll be hyperlinked there, you can directly open and see. Next, what the brief fact would be provided is that if there is any amendment pending. Now, the idea is that if you had to look for all these information isolated, you would have to run 500 searches, you would have to go through news articles, citing that if there has been an amending act. From this, just one icon, you can get all the information on any act or research. Next is, if there's a bill pending in the parliament and you want to read that particular bill, this icon is there, click it, you can read that pending bill. If there are rules and regulations regarding the act, any kind of delegated legislation, there's this button provided there. click on it, you can see all the rules and regulations regarding that act. Fourth would be annotations on the act. Now, annotations are essentially section-wise analysis of all the, sections of the act. A lot of times when you're reading a bare act, you have to keep a book aside and, keep referring to what the explanation of the section is. Here, just with the annotations feature, you can do it. Lastly, comparative chart. Now, if you are doing a research on arbitration, there's the 1996 Act and the 1940 Act. You want to make a comparison of the provisions. This feature provides you a tabular list where on one hand you can see the section that was there on the previous act. On the other hand, you can see what is there in the new act. All of them hyperlinked, you can open them, you can see, judgments regarding them, the explanation, all of that. Those are the Bare Act enhancements that we provide. Again, I hope that this presentation was helpful for you. Legal research can be, efficient, easy. All you need is a comprehensive database. Make sure that you have information on the legal tools that are available for your disposal, as well as the knowledge on how to use them for maximum potential. That was it for the presentation. Now, whatever questions we have.
Thank you so much, Saumya. Just before we dive in for the question answer session, I would just like to thank you for this very helpful webinar. I'm sure the students know the importance of how to use such an advanced legal database to their advantage. That being said, before we take the questions, can I just take 2 to 3 minutes of everybody's time and just tell about something interesting which Memo Pandits and I are coming up with. So next week, actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am hosting a webinar on CVs and internships, which is basically to help other students in understanding the nuances of how to begin with CV making, CV building, and how to get internships, because we see a lot of mistakes that the fresher, especially the first and second year students do. So just a second, I think Palak is about to share. Yeah. Okay. All right. So basically, it's a 3-day webinar. It's a 3-day workshop where on the first day we will be talking about the basics of what matters in a law school. Basically, like the very, very intricate basics of CV making and your internship progression, like how should you start your internships in the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year onwards, right? Then on the second day, we will do a live CV editing. We will do a live cover letter editing. Yeah, so we have the brochure on the screen. Palak, can you go to the, can you go to the second page? And also just mute it from your end so that the echo doesn't, perfect. So on the first day, we're going to deal with what matters during law school, the ideal internship progression, long-term career vision. This is a very important thing. You need to understand what you might be able to do 5 years after your after your law school ends. So we're going to do exercises on how to find what your career vision is. Then how to begin hunting for internships. Can you move on to the next page, Palak? Yeah. Next day, we are going to go hands-on on CV and cover letter drafting. I'll give you a very small example. The main issue with the cover letter is that there are just 1 or 2 drafts of cover letters which are floating around throughout the law student community. Everybody is using it, and every day when we look at internship application, everybody has the same cover letter. So we will reinvent the wheel. We will try to understand what is the essence of a cover letter, and that's how you will be able to make a very personalized cover letter. We will also be sharing some sample CVs and cover letter drafts for your help. Palak, can you move on to the next? And on the third day, we're going to tell you how to be an outstanding intern, which is the need of the hour. So basically, you'll be told how to smartly apply and follow up. What do outstanding interns do differently? How can you plan for your PPOs right from the beginning in your first, second, third years? And then how to leverage LinkedIn networking. Right. And so basically, can you move on to the next page? Yeah. And of course, I will be the speaker. There might be people who don't know me. I am the co-founder of Memo Pandits. I was in NLU, and there was a time when everybody in my college thought that because nobody in NLU has ever been into a Merchant Mangaldas or a tier 1 firm. Therefore, I wouldn't also be able to do it. And I did not have any jugaad or anything else. So since then, I've been training other law students on how to gather the courage and do what other people think you can't. So yeah, can you move on to the last page, Palak? Yeah. So the registration details are the workshop is for 250. The second thing, which is the 100 registrations, we only have less than 20 seats left. So if you are interested, I would recommend you to register ASAP. Lipi or Palak, can you guys please send the link of the registration form and this brochure? Yeah. So in the chat box, yeah, I think, yeah. Okay, perfect. So in the chat box, you will be able to see the link. And I hope you guys take this opportunity to learn about the basics and not just start doing what everybody else is doing. You need to know why anything is being done. Why do you have to follow after 3 days? Why something is being done and which is being correct, right? So yeah, that's about the workshop. And just before I hand over the question answer session to my folks at Manupatra, Palak, can you also share the discount coupon codes which are exclusively there for the students of the for the participants of this webinar? So
Sure,
basically, we
sir.
have these two courses. One is on research paper writing, which is absolutely essential. And in fact, I was looking at the chat box throughout the time, and I was wondering, all of these questions are dealt in our course on research paper writing. This course has been created by very experienced researchers, and the course goes for 2100. But if you apply the coupon code web200, which is only for the participants of this webinar, you will get it at 1900. We also have a course on citation methods where we teach you Blue Book, OSCOLA, SILC, and uniform citation. I also saw, I think one of the participants asked a very basic question: how to cite, right? I know your concern. When I was in my first year, I was like, hey man, how is this footnote appearing here? How is it going there? When do I cite? Is it necessary to cite after full stop? Can I cite here? Can I cite that? So all of those questions have been dealt in the citation methods course. So, and this is our most affordable course, so you might as well check it out. I think the link of these two courses has been sent on the chat box. So please make sure that in case you have any kind of questions, please do reach out to us. Lipi, can you also share your number on the in the chat box or your email ID, so that if anybody has any kind of questions, they can reach out to you. All right. And this coupon code is only valid for the next 2 hours. So please hurry. And over to you, Manupatra. People, you guys have done an amazing job. I'm sure that the students have greatly benefited from all the topics we've discussed today. So please
Anant,
take
if I
the
could add
platform.
like two, three
Sure,
things.
sure.
The citation thing that you said, as I showed, like in Manupatra, what we do is we provide you the basic information. So name of the case, the date of judgment, and which court. So that, whatever other citation method, whichever you're following, you can add it simultaneously. All I do is I'll do Alt plus N and I'll just paste it there. And every time that I've shown it, kids are like, how did that just happen? And it's 2 steps, it's one shortcut and one pasting. And that's the kind of thing, like, so important, but people just don't know. And at Manupatra, all we could do is provide you that basic format, so that whichever kind of research you're doing, you can use it, and you don't have to type it, and you're not like, okay, I won't cite it, I would cite something else, or not make that effort to do it, please.
And I'll tell you one thing very honestly, from the perspective of graduates like Saumya and I, citations are something which are going to be helpful everywhere. So if the day you become a lawyer, the responsibility on you to cite properly is absolutely important. So please make sure that you learn this art at the right stage, which is today. So thank you so much. And you guys can take the questions now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. We're getting questions about the questions.
Right.
So,
thank you, Anand sir. Okay, Soumya ma'am, about the questions. So I have a list here.
Yeah.
Some of them are majorly related to research, like how do you submit a
Hmm.
paper and how many judgments should be there in one research paper, those kind of questions. And some are
Hmm.
just the Manupatra related. So first what
Hmm.
we should do is we should focus on the research wala part, then we can
Hmm.
go back to
Sure, sure.
manupatra.com and show them the features also. Okay.
Okay.
So number one was how to choose a unique topic which is new and futuristic for
Hmm.
your research paper. Any tips there?
Okay. Okay. So as I just showed you all the 4 approaches. So the first, I'll just share that again. Just give me 1 second. I'll share that screen again so that we can discuss this in a little more detail. Just take 2 minutes and go through this again, because I'm sure a lot of students have this question on how do you even decide on your like research topic, where you start from. So first is again problem solution approach. This is the easiest one to go by. How is this the easiest one? You will always find where the problem is, because that's what is constantly being discussed. Social media has brought it to the fore. Right now you exactly know where the problems are. Where are the problems with the COVID treatment, how there should have been better mobilization of resources, the kind of vaccine sharing between the states. Everywhere around you, you'll find a problem, and all problems have legal solutions. About the COVID share, you can write about NHS. You can write about how, the current acts that are there, the kind of, the rights that doctors have. They have been beaten up. There have been multiple instances they are overworked. What if you just, these are all problems. Suppose you want to write about the right of medical professionals and the compensation they deserve. Which rights have been infringed? Their, right to dignity, all of that. Now, this again, problem solution approach, very easy to take. Anything around you can be, made into a legal issue. Start broad, provide better research, provide streamlined research. I just showed you. Start with Manupatra, write in Manu search or in assisted search, write the whole proposition. Keep filtering it from there, search and results, search and results. It goes endless times. Find the most, relevant authorities to you, cite them, use them in your, research. The next is the interpretation approach. Select a law. IBC, it's come in 2016. Still, half the people don't even understand it. Pick 5 sections, pick the CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. Interpret it with the existing judgments that have come, what scholarly sources the courts are citing, how are they relevant, what is the international response to it, have there been conflicted judgments. Just 6 sections, focus on it. You can write an interpretation approach, say research article. The third would be your policy critique. Again, the COVID example that I gave. Do not write about the rights of doctors and stuff. Write about how the government dealt with the COVID policy, election laws, how were elections taken in Bengal, how were elections done in the South, the number of cases they were done. What are the roles and responsibilities of the election commission? Again, it's a part of the constitution. You can just correlate everything, write a legal research paper that can be brilliant, because this is such a someone said unique and futuristic topic. These are all unique and futuristic topics because they haven't been around for 100 years. No one has yet written them. If you want to start writing a research paper today, do that. The last is again analysis research approach. Now these kind of pandemics happen once in 100 years, Spanish flu, COVID, all of that. There are no laws to deal with situations like these. There is no delegated legislation to deal with situations. Law includes delegated legislation. Right on why there is a need. Right on why there has to be GST. The idea was that there has to be cooperative federalism. Should cooperative federalism exist in healthcare also? Analysis, research, there's no laws, write about it. So I hope that answered this question. So sorry if I took like.
Okay, ma'am. The next is how many judgments should there be in a research paper? So
See, that depends on the number of words. If you're writing a 5,000 word research paper, don't even take it as words. Take it as the format that you're following and the number of pages and where you're, submitting it to. If you're submitting it to a peer reviewed journal. Now, in that case, at least 3 footnotes per page make for a standard research paper. Now, you can go by a ballpark figure of judgments. I'm just simplifying it for you. 3 footnotes per page. Now, these footnotes cannot be IBID, IBID. There have to be original judgments. As I just showed you, find one good case. You will get 15 more that you can cite. If you have one footnote where 5 cases are cited where the same thing was discussed, as a reader, try to, picturize it. You would feel that there has been a lot of research done. It would take you 2 minutes on Manupatra to find those 5. So again, 3 footnotes per page, multiple judgments in one footnote, even better. That's
right. And next one is any approach on how to write case commentary or writing reviews for cases?
okay. So when you're writing reviews or commentaries, there are two, objectives that you're chasing. The first is that you have to provide an explanation. The second is that you have to provide a critique. Now, explanation would be, kind of taking it to the layman level, explaining what it is about, providing additional information. The review part would be from a more educated perspective. What exists? What does not exist? Is this practical? Is this applicable? I hope that I understood the meaning of review correctly here. And that would be how it goes.
Ma'am, next would be how to reduce plagiarism, or if something is taken from Manupatra, how do I ensure that it's not plagiarized or
Okay, so if you're taking something from Manupatra, it would be in the form of a judgment or articles that students publish or professionals publish with us, or from an act. Now, how do you reduce plagiarism is two things. One, if you're paraphrasing it, you'll still have to provide a footnote. So when you seek, okay, you are getting a lot of sources and you don't want to directly cut, copy, paste it because that would show into your plagiarism. Paraphrase it, add your explanation, but add the footnote. Add the footnote wherever you're explaining something. That should take care of the plagiarism as well, because you've paraphrased what you're trying to communicate. Plus, you've added the footnotes, so ethically you're in. That's how you go about reducing plagiarism.
right? Ma'am, there are some questions relating to features like how to find a judgment through citation and everything. But I think that you should direct them to our YouTube page. So I'm sharing that link on the chat window of our YouTube channel. So we have a lot of videos there. How do you find cases where a case has been referred, like cited in para?
One good case method. You made that video. There's this video called One Good Case Method. There's a 30-minute video on how do you legal research on Manupatra. Abhay sir only narrated it. 30 minutes, everything that I covered right now in a sequential format. You can get it. Just I can assure you that those 30 minutes would be very well invested. Just go to this YouTube channel, you'll find it right there, how to legal research. All the features covered in bite-sized videos of 3 minutes, 4 minutes are also there. If you want to see all that we did here, you can find it in 30-minute videos. Also, all our previous webinars are covered there. So all these entire discussions also, you can find it there if you want to, reference again.
One thing more, there were a couple of questions in regards to what kind of tribunals are covered, or is this a paid subscription or something? So I'm sharing one email ID, contact@manupatra.com. So if your college wishes to subscribe to Manupatra, or you want your faculty to take a look at least at Manupatra, because most of the organizations are already subscribers. So if there is an issue you are facing in terms of you're not able to log in from your home or something, any that kind of a issue you have or anything, you can just send us a mail at contact@manupatra. You'll get a very prompt reply from their side.
Someone has written how to do effective moot court research.
Right.
Again, like that's a whole other ball game. But last month only we did 2 sessions on moot court research. Again, one was a private workshop where we went through a problem and we showed you how to do it. The other, which was a general video, where for 2 hours I discussed everything related to how you can use Manupatra to do moot research effectively, starting from making your statement of facts, reading the proposition, all that you can find on the YouTube channel.
I think, ma'am, that is it from the question and answer.
Actually, so there are a lot of
Yes,
questions, but I don't think like we're already 15
Right.
minutes.
We are already
Thank
15 minutes in, and most of them are research based also. So Anand sir also presented with some course that he has. So I'm plugging it there. So you can use that for Manupatra questions. You can go to our YouTube channel, or you can contact us at contact@manupatra.
Yeah, if you're facing any issue where you enter a research query and you're not able to find what you're looking for, or you want to know how do you use the other features to navigate that proposition, even for those things you can write it on contact@manupatra.com. Also, we have a very active LinkedIn page. Every day we make some or the other post about these features. So if you want to check that out, please go and check it out. All the questions that you have would be answered there. We, again, as with Nema Pandits, we are having regular webinars on legal research. Please feel free to join. All these questions we'll take up in more detail there.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us here today. Do you mind if everybody can, if everybody does not mind, we can switch on our cameras for a picture, maybe?
I'm not sure if this participants would be able to, because
Yeah, actually, this is a webinar format.
Yeah, yes.
So
All right,
they
all right.
can't.
Not an issue. Not an issue. We'll keep that for next time. Not an issue, Palak. Thanks.
Again, thank you so much to Memo Pandits for hosting this.
Palak, you can
Very-
conclude the webinar. Yeah. Thank you so much.